So I threw it out there a little bit ago. I kind of tossed out Jonathan India's name, and we might have touched on this a little bit yesterday, but Jonathan India, to me, is the Joe Mixon for the Reds right now, where Joe Mixon, the Bengals were right to move on from Joe Mixon. I think it made all the sense in the world to move on from Joe Mixon. But the problem is when the Bengals got off to a slow start and nothing seemed to be going well outside of Joe Burrow in the passing game, the run game, injury riddled early on too, the defense was bad. And then what would happen after a loss for the Bengals? Oh, let's look over and see what Joe Mixon's doing. And, oh, look, he just ran for 120 and 2 touchdowns. Man, Cincinnati, I bet you wish you still had you had him and you weren't getting those results. So, the Bengals made the right decision, but because of their slow start, it made them vulnerable to criticisms, especially when Joe Mixon was popping off so early in the season. And he had a great year for the Texans, obviously. But the Bengals were vulnerable to those criticisms and question marks because of that. The Reds are in a very similar boat, especially when you get shut out for 3 straight games and you lose games 1-0 3 straight times. You're vulnerable to all the criticisms of the world. But then you go out, and I know Jonathan India was an interesting piece because I think the fan base was split. I think a lot of people, I was in the middle on it, a lot of people understood why the Reds needed to move on from him. Others were adamant you can't move on from a guy with that type of leadership out of the clubhouse, especially with the team that's still relatively young, former Rookie of the Year. Okay, you have a deep middle infield, find a way, get it done. The Reds move on from him. They bring in Brady Singer. Reds are off to a 2-5 start. They can't score runs. They have one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. Man, oh man, wouldn't it be nice to have a guy that is consistently putting the bat on the ball, putting the ball in play, driving in runs, and just creating havoc on the base paths. And that is what Jonathan India has done for the Kansas City Royals. He has at least one hit in every single game, has multiple extra base hits, and here's the kicker, he has played in multiple games in left field. He's played in the outfield multiple times, and the big talking point was, well, Jonathan India will not play in the outfield if he is with the Cincinnati Reds, so you're stuck to only using him in the middle infield, but you're backlogged there right now, trying to figure out Noelvi Marte. Obviously, Elly's at short. Obviously, McLain's your second baseman. Like, what are you going to do with Jonathan India? I was more in the camp of find a way to get it done. The outfield's bad. You find a way to keep Jonathan India in the lineup, put him in the outfield, figure it out from there. Is he a good outfielder? I don't know. Figure it out. That was kind of where I was towards the tail end of last season. Still think the Reds were justified in moving on from him. But because of the slow start and because of his hot start and to cap it off where he's playing the majority of these games right now defensively, it has made the Reds vulnerable to all of us having to question, did the Reds make the right decision moving on from Jonathan India? Now, you could say, well, yes, look at what they got in return. Now, it's only been one start, but Brady Singer was phenomenal. I thought outside of Hunter Green, the first time through the rotation, I think he was the second most impressive of all the pitchers that we've seen up until this point, as far as that goes. But that's the point. The deepest part of the Cincinnati Reds is their pitching. The deepest part of the Reds is their rotation at this point. We're going to talk about, when Andrew Abbott comes back in 2 weeks, and we touched on it yesterday. When Andrew Abbott comes back, what are you doing with that rotation? Who are you bumping? Are you bumping anybody? Are you just going to make it a 6-man rotation? What are you going to do? Because everyone is pitching lights out. So it's not as if you didn't get a good return for Jonathan India. You got a hell of a return. I think Brady Singer's phenomenal. But at the same time, if you take Brady Singer off this roster, I don't think the Reds are missing a beat at this point. I think the Reds' strength is still their starting pitching, and you would still have Jonathan India. Hopefully you would have used him in the outfield, and boom, now a lot of problems are solved. That's not how this was going to go down. I understand a lot of the criticisms of it. I also understand those who say he still should be a Red right now in the outfield. Look how much he would have helped. When the Reds moved on from him at that time, you didn't know that the injury bug was going to plague this team, although you should expect it at this point. But for right now, the Reds, they've earned the criticism. They deserve the criticism because they opened the door when you can't score runs, your outfield stinks, and then the guy that you traded away because you said you didn't want him anymore is balling out with the Kansas City Royals, has had a hit in every game, multiple extra base hits, playing well in left field and the outfield. Yeah, I think it's fair to criticize and question the Reds' decision-making, but I can also say this is a horrible take. I'm in the middle, because I think both decisions were justified. If you kept him, justified. Moving on from him, justified. I usually don't like taking that route, but that's kind of how I feel about this Jonathan India. Jonathan India is Joe Mixon for the Cincinnati Reds, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's the perfect comparison because both teams made the right decision to move on from them. I think that's exactly what it comes down to. I mean, what did we just spend the whole first Reds segment talking about here? How much we need from Matt McLain and Elly De La Cruz to drive this team. And the whole chat, as soon as you brought this up, started to argue, well, Brady Singer looks great. Well, Jonathan India looks great. It's not a one-for-one trade. And obviously, that's the first thing you look at is what the return is there. But it also allows you to play Matt McLain at second base every day. And I know India has played left field a lot for the Royals, but that was the conversation topic in Cincinnati when he was here. Will you move off second base? And it seemed hesitant at best, rumors of a full no. So if he wasn't willing to move off second base and he was going to, kind of block Matt McLain there, and then you have to play someone at third, I also think something else that has to be incorporated in this trade is the addition of Gavin Lux. I think if you have Jonathan India on this team as the bench piece, as the depth piece behind that middle infield of Elly De La Cruz and Matt McLain, you're not going out to get Gavin Lux. I think Gavin Lux is the Jonathan India replacement. I think they're going to do basically the same thing for the Reds this season in terms of filling in at third, in the outfield, in the middle infield when those guys need a break. And then you still add Brady Singer. So I think this is a resounding yes in terms of it being a great move for the Reds. Brady Singer, the only player in this rotation that has gone over 150 innings in a Major League Baseball season. That means something. Having that kind of security, we talk about how this team needs to avoid injuries to be kept competitive at all year long. Well, Brady Singer's done that. He's shown you the longevity that none of the rest of our starters have shown. So I think adding something like that to a position of strength for this team and then still going out and filling that Jonathan India hole with a Gavin Lux, keeping Santiago Espinal around on an extension to be that, outfield and infield flex player off the bench. I think they've done a good job of filling that India role while also getting a great return for him. There's zero reservations in my mind that this was a good move.
Here's the thing about the Jonathan India situation. I would say that Jonathan India, the front office, everybody was about tired of talking about it, and eventually you just have to move on from somebody. It's just amicably, it was the best decision for everybody involved. India didn't want to be here any longer because the front office probably didn't want him here any longer.
How could you want to be here when every day you turn around and hear your name in trade?
And the fans certainly didn't want him here anymore. So it was a good move to get rid of Jonathan India. It was a great move to bring Brady Singer in, who I think is going to be a solid pitcher for the Reds this season. I don't look back at that trade, and be like, oh, what if Jonathan India still doesn't fix the problems that the Reds have? Jonathan India and Gavin Lux are one and the same when it comes to offense. So I'm not going to be shocked, if Jonathan India wasn't able to carry the weight of the Reds lineup either. So,
are you talking like big picture?
Yeah.
Because like I said, it's the Joe Mixon effect because it's the right now that's made them vulnerable to that. But yeah, big picture, numbers wise, it's all gonna, if we have this conversation 2 months from now, it's probably not gonna have the same tone. But right now, it's like, man, I would kill for that outfielder that's getting a hit in every single game and multiple extra base hits and driving in runs. But the probability of him doing that consistently throughout, we've been a part of that Jonathan India roller coaster before. He's just on the up right now. We're waiting for the crash. We're waiting for the drop. But our luck, it won't come. He'll be an MVP candidate for the damn Royals this year.
I mean, he's hitting 320, 393 OBP. I mean, he's doing everything he needs to do. In Kansas City, I thought it would be a good fit for him in Kansas City, and I'm happy it's working out for him. The Reds have to focus on who they've got, and who they got is CES, who's hitting, I believe, 190 on the year. Gavin Lux, he's hitting 200. Jeimer, 200. TJ Friedl, 208, 222 for Matt McLain, and Elly, 286. So that's not even counting the guys that we know are going to be bad. It's been a disaster. It's been a disaster, and there's no point on harping on the past. You just got to look onward. Look onward. You got 3 more games with the Brewers. The Reds have lost 32 consecutive series when losing the first game of that series. So this will most likely be 33 in a row because I have a hard time believing the Reds are going to win 2, let alone 3 games back to back to back. So good luck, I guess. Good luck. Here we go tonight. Optimistic.
Nick Martinez on the mound tonight. And then, of course, you get Brady Singer. And then Carson Spires to close it out. I said this on my show yesterday. I'm excited to see all these pitchers. I want to see if this rotation can keep it going. I'm fingers crossed. I think that they can. I hope so. The guy I'm most intrigued by is Carson Spires because, if he pitches lights out on Sunday, I think that creates a very interesting, a good dilemma moving forward of, what you do when you get Andrew Abbott back. I know we touched on this lightly yesterday, but if Carson Spires goes out there and just has another performance like he did in his first go-round, These are good problems to have. We touched on it yesterday. Andrew Abbott comes back. What do? You have Nick Martinez, who's a Swiss Army knife. You're paying him a lot of money, so you expect him to stay in that rotation. But at the same time, if you have 6 guys for 5 spots, do you extend it to a 6-man rotation? What do? These are good problems to have. My big takeaway for the final 3 games of this series, the Reds, knock on wood, are not going to get shut out for the next 3 games. I think that they're going to put runs up. I think that you're still going to get good quality starts from your starting pitching, and the bullpen we expect to continue to do what they've been doing as of late as well. I actually think the Reds, I think it's going to take, honestly, I think right now, once that first run comes in, guys, I feel like that's when it's going to start not rolling and saying averaging 6 runs a game, but I feel like everything's so mental right now. It's so mental right now at the plate. And I think everyone is pressing at the plate right now. Everyone feels the pressure. And I think it's even worse when you get runners on in scoring position, because I think you feel it, oh, no, we can't strand these guys. If we finally have an opportunity here, we can't leave runners stranded. And then you see bad swings and you're just seeing overly aggressive attempts at the plate. So I think that first run that comes in is going to finally take that pressure off the shoulders of these guys, and then going back to what you were getting the first 4 games of the season offensively with what we've seen from the pitching staff the last 3, I still think they have a shot to turn this around, but you can't not let this snowball into 5, 6, 7 games. I'm very intrigued by the next 3 against the Brewers.
We're just about 3-4 months early, but this is the conversation we had at the end of last season all together in this room. If the pitching does slow down, if it does catch up to them, if they return to league average before the bats return to league average, man, that's going to get rough.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we got to sit here and pray that these bats wake up 1 through 9, because if not, there is a point in time coming in this Red season where the pitching staff is not going to allow 1 run in 3 straight games. It's coming. That's how baseball works.
Maybe tonight.
And hopefully when that time does come and the pitching staff isn't nails, hopefully we're able to get someone across the plate, because that's when it gets really ugly. We can talk about historic losses, 1-0, as much as we want, and that hurts, and it's painful to watch, and it's borderline unwatchable. But you're still in the game until the 9th inning. There's a world here where we end this series in Milwaukee losing games 10-12 to nothing. This pitching staff has to stay elite and give these bats a chance to catch up. And if that means another 1-0 loss, being the first team ever in MLB history to get 4 in a row, then I'd rather take that than an 8-0 loss. So, I mean, let's hope the pitching staff stays dialed in, because if not, this is going to get really, really tough really quick.
I'll take the 8-0 loss. I'm going to be honest. I'll take 8-0. I'll take 20-0. I don't care. 1-0 losses are inexcusable. To have one side of the team be so electric and to have the other side be so terrible at the same time, you talk about it's a mental game for the hitters, Justin. It's a mental game for everybody right now in there, because eventually pitchers aren't going to show up anymore if they know there's no help coming. When you give up one run as a starting pitcher, usually that's like, all right, that's just starting pitch. You give 1 run a game for every start, you had a hell of a season, maybe the best season ever.
Yeah.
But eventually it's like if Nick Lodolo goes 5 innings, he gives up 1 run, it's like, all right, well, now we're done. I lost it for us because I couldn't hold him to 0, because our offense needs a magic runner on second base and extras to bunt 2 guys, or to bunt him over twice and get him home. Like, that's the only way the Reds are scoring at this point. You got to get a guy on second and just bunt twice.
And their best bunter runs like a catcher.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm out of optimism. I tried to be optimistic, Elliot. Lasted 7 games. So
we'll always have those 14 runs for Monday.
We will. We will have 14 runs for Monday.
We'll always have those.
I might go back and listen to that show, what I said, because I take it all back. Any nice thing I said in that show, take it all back.
Yeah, I think I said the Reds are hitting now.
Take it back.
Couldn't have been more wrong.
Your fault.
Yeah, couldn't have been more wrong.
You said a few moments ago, you'd rather have the 7-0, 6-0
it's not close.
losses. But 6 and 7-0 losses means that now you have a team that can't hit and a team that can't pitch now. The reason I'm still holding on to hope is the fact that what we can't get over is the fact that we got shut out for 3 straight games, and that is so overshadowing what we're getting from pitching. And I do not expect to only give up 1 run the rest of the season. However, it just seems like we're closer than you think because of how dominant pitching has been. I think the message that a 5-0, 6-0, 7-0 loss in 3 straight games would send to everybody is, oh, they can't hit and they can't pitch. I would feel worse about that, and I'm flip-flopping because yesterday I said, man, I could handle a 6 and a 7-0 back-to-back, but 3 straight ones of these, 3 straight games have only given up 1 run, to me, it just says you got one of the most important sides down, pitching. Pitching has been almost impossible for this team to clamp down on. They seem to have that. I just think they're closer than we think, as silly and ridiculous as that sounds. I would not want the 6 and 7 though, because then that means they're bad at everything.
Before 9 innings, I'm with you. Watching the game tonight, I'm with you. I think it's much easier to swallow that. But when you wake up the next morning, at least you can hold on.
Yeah, but here's the issue. That brilliant logic is why we don't have any upgrades to our offense. We're so close. We're right there. We're inches away. Our pitching staff's there. All we need is just one of our guys to come up and play good. We just need some of them to be healthy. We won't upgrade the offense at all. They're just so close. Oh, they're so close. They're not close. The offense is terrible. I'd rather lose 9-0 and have Nick Krall say, all right, maybe we got a problem here. In his mind, I don't think he thinks there's a problem. Oh, well, CES is hurt. He got hit in the wrist the other day. Oh, well, Spencer Steer can't use his arms. It's Tyler Stevenson. We still don't know anything about that. Who knows? Months away. We'll blame it on injuries. We're just going to blame it on the injuries. Next year, they're going to be healthy for sure. That's when they're going to be real healthy, next year. They'll be close next year. So when you keep saying they're close, that means the front office doesn't have to do anything. They just think, all right, well, we can't lose one-run deficit games every week, right? That's not going to continue, right? Oh, well, how about 3 in a row in the worst possible way? So no, I don't want to lose 1-0 if you're going to lose. I want to lose 25-0.
So you want to be bad.
Yeah, because being bad, you're losing in both scenarios. I'm not going to give Nick Krall the credit for being close. Oh, you almost had it.
But
buddy.
Isn't he?
No, he's not close. He's not close, and that's where the delusion sets in. This team isn't close, man. It's not. It's not close. And the more we delude ourselves and say it's close, the harder this season's going to be for everybody.
Fair enough. It's a downtime for everyone. Either way. All right, Off the Bench presented by UDF. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Give the stream a like. Give it that like there.
Yeah, that speech should give you fired up. Give it a like. Get a like.
Yes. Anything else on the Reds before we close it out? I think
Yeah, we didn't do our score predictions yet.
Ooh,
let's take a guess on what your score prediction is going to be.
I'm gonna
guess 1-0.
I'm gonna say Brewers 1-0. What's yours?
I think that the Reds win 5-3, and I think that they score 2 runs in the first inning. I think that they get this monkey off their back, bam, right off the bat.
I'm going to take 1-0 Reds.
Ooh, I like it.
Flip the script.
I like
the script.
I like that.
I see your script, and I flip it.
We'll flip it.
Flip it.
That's a reverse.
All right, so one more time because we got to go post these because we've come close. This is back-to-back days where we've had someone predict 1-0 loss for the Reds, but I'm not doing that. I'm not predicting them like I did yesterday to lose 1-0. A 5-3 win, 2 runs in the first inning. Reds set the tone early. They remind people we're close.
1-0 Red Legs. Top of the 7th Elly solo home run.
I like that.
All right. So one more time. 5-3, you said?
1-0 Reds.
1-0 Reds. And what'd you have?
1-0 Brewers.
There we go.
Optimism.
We should probably do Saturday and Sunday too, because we're not going to be here.
Do you want to just go next too?
Yeah, Saturday. I'll take the Brewers 1-0, and then on Sunday, you guessed it. I'll go Brewers 1-0.
I love that.
I'm not gonna be like. I'm for that.
Yeah.
I don't want the losses, but I mean that'd be something. That's memorable. If you're going to be bad, be historically bad. Don't just half-ass being bad.
If we're not gonna score runs tonight, I would like us to not score runs in Milwaukee.
Yeah,
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Also, divisional opponent, so it'd be nice. It'd be nice to get some wins.
Big time series.
It'd be nice to get some wins. Just
what if we win the next 3?
Just get home, return home. We got the Pirates coming up around the corner.
What if I win the lottery?
I mean,
same odds basically as straight 0-1 losses.
It is.